Oliver felt a sharp pain in his feet. When looking down, he realized he stepped on a suspicious-looking stone. He didn't think much of it, but after taking a closer look, he discovered this wasn't a normal stone. He believed he had found something astronomical. Oliver decided to take the stone to a jeweler with the intention to trade it for a lot of money. This will change his life forever. Oliver had so much pain in his foot that he was limping. He was then approached by a lifeguard, who asked him if everything was all right. Oliver thought about keeping the stone all to himself, but something told him he had to show the lifeguard what he had stepped on. Oliver eventually showed the lifeguard what he had found. When opening up his hand, the stone instantly started glowing. The lifeguard asked if he could inspect the stone. Oliver was hesitant, but he gave it to the lifeguard. When handing it over, the stone instantly stopped glowing. The lifeguard was shocked. The lifeguard told Oliver that he had the right to keep the stone. Oliver was relieved, but he would eventually come to regret it. Oliver decided that he would go to a jeweler he knows. This is the only person he really trusts at the moment. Oliver quickly arrived at Mark's jewelry store. He felt lucky that the whole store was empty. Mark was surprised to see Oliver. Oliver started rambling about this very special stone that he wanted to sell. Mark did not believe Oliver at first, but he went along with it anyways. Mark saw the stone glowing in Oliver's hand, but he thought it was a cheap stone from a souvenir shop. But when Oliver handed the stone to Mark, it suddenly stopped glowing. Mark was incredibly confused at first, but then he realized something. But he needed time. Mark was shocked to see the stone. Oliver could see that. It was like Mark recognized something. Mark told Oliver he needed a day to investigate and authenticate the stone. Only then could he offer a reasonable price. Oliver was hesitant but agreed to these terms. Oliver could not sleep the entire night. He was constantly thinking about the stone. Could it be worth a life-changing amount of money? Eventually, he fell asleep but woke up an hour later, bathing in sweat. He had the feeling something bad was about to happen. The next day, Oliver went back to the Mark. Upon entering, the vibe was a lot different than yesterday. Oliver did not feel welcome anymore. He decided to ignore his gut feeling. He had to know what the stone was worth, but Mark acted extremely suspiciously. Mark was instantly acting suspicious upon starting the conversation. He told Oliver that he could not have or even see this stone. Oliver was confused. What does that even mean? Mark wasn't made yet. He started a massive rant. Oliver got into a massive heated argument with Mark. Oliver wanted his stone back, but Mark did not even show his stone. He said he did not have the right anymore. Oliver really wanted to start a fight, but there were more people in the store, so he calmed down a bit. Oliver then decided he would take his stone back. Without warning, Mark walked into the back office. He did not see his stone, but he knew it had to be somewhere. Mark instantly followed Oliver inside, and the two kept arguing. Eventually, Mark gave in. Mark gave the stone to Oliver, but when Oliver looked at it, it did not start glowing. Oliver asks Mark what he has done to the stone, but Mark just gives some fake answers. Then Oliver realizes something is off. The stone that Oliver had found was way heavier, so Mark gave Oliver a fake stone to get rid of him. It even looked really cheap. Oliver threw the stone back at Mark, and Mark finally realized that it was futile to try and deceive Oliver. Mark sighs and gives the stone back to Oliver. Oliver finally calmed down, but then Mark said to him that he had made a big mistake. He should not have taken the stone back. Mark said that Oliver would definitely regret this. Oliver steps outside with the stone. He kept thinking about what Mark had just said. This can't be good. What he found. Oliver sat in his car and instantly felt he was being watched. He had to protect this stone at all costs. But what happened next, Oliver never expected. When driving away, everything was fine, and Oliver felt relieved he had the stone. Then he realizes he is being followed by a black van. Was this a coincidence? To know for sure, Oliver drove 3 times the same round. The black van was still behind him. This couldn't be good. Oliver stepped on the gas to shake the van, but the van sped up as well. Oliver was really scared. For a brief moment, he wanted to throw the stone out of his window. But something kept him from actually doing that. After some clever maneuvering, Oliver managed to shake the van that was following him. He now knew for sure he had found something special, but he had to quickly get rid of it. But he only kept thinking about money and not his own safety. Oliver decided he would go to another jeweler the next day to sell this stone. It was already late at the moment, so no jeweler was open anymore. He just had to get through this night, and Oliver had the feeling that wasn't going to be easy. Oliver was very restless that evening that he decided to go to a friend's house. He wanted to show the stone before he sold it. The decision to go to this friend probably saved his life, because when he returned home, he turned pale. There were a lot of people gathered in front of Oliver's house when he returned. He did not know what was going on, but then he saw something. His neighbor recognized Oliver and told him it was not a good idea to enter. The first thing Oliver sees is that his front window is completely shattered. Upon inspecting further, it seems like his front door is also kicked in. Everyone tried to stop Oliver from entering, but he did not listen. When entering, he burst into tears. Oliver's house is a huge mess. Oliver could not believe his eyes. When realizing nothing was stolen, he knew they were after the stone. Literally, his whole house was searched, and many things were destroyed. He had to call the police. When calling the police, they did not want to come if nothing was stolen. But Oliver insisted on them coming to make a report. This was the only way insurance would cover this. The woman on the phone did not seem to please, but she told Oliver she would send some officers. After waiting for half an hour, a police car finally arrived. There was only one officer inside the car. Oliver quickly ran outside to tell him what was going on. He seemed to take it very serious until he stepped inside. Oliver did not sleep all night. His neighbor invited him to stay at his home. Oliver accepted because he did not feel safe in his own house anymore. He counted down the minutes to drive to the jeweler and get rid of the stone. The minute the jeweler opened, Oliver was there. Upon entering the jeweler, he feels like he is expected by the jeweler. He was instantly greeted, and he felt very welcome. Maybe Mark had told this jeweler about the stone, or there was something else going on that Oliver did not know about. The jeweler asked Oliver to inspect the stone. When he saw the stone, he gasped. This gave Oliver the indication that he knew something more. The stone wasn't glowing at all. Then the jeweler asked Oliver to touch it. When Oliver touched the stone, it instantly started glowing. That is when the jeweler made an enormous offer. Oliver felt like he was in heaven. He could finally get rid of the stone, and he would get a lot of money. But things would quickly turn sour. Oliver was very happy and let his guard down. He told the jeweler he accepted his offer without really thinking about it. Then the jeweler said he would get the money out of his vault. But this took a long time. The jeweler seemed to really take his time. Oliver knocked on his office door to see what was going on. But the jeweler did not respond at all. It was like he was stalling Oliver. Oliver was really confused. He just wanted his money. A man that was already in the store when Oliver entered was staring at him from the corner. Oliver had not realized this, but he felt he was being watched. Oliver felt really anxious. The man did not move an inch, until Oliver felt something painful. Without realizing it, Oliver was on the ground. Someone had snuck up on him from behind. The jeweler came back in and confirmed to the man that Oliver was the one that they were after. Oliver started crying. Suddenly, more people flooded inside the jewelry store. Oliver only realized after minutes that the FBI was coming in. Oliver had no idea why they were after him, but he had the feeling it had something to do with the stone. Oliver was arrested and was told he had the right to remain silent. Oliver was so confused that he did not even know what was happening. Was he really arrested? He was dragged to an FBI van and put into the back. Oliver was in total shock. He even fainted for a moment. It was all too much. The officers tried to get him back to consciousness. Oliver started to beg the officers to let him go, but they weren't going to let him go. He was brought to the nearest FBI office. When entering the office, everyone was staring at him like he was some kind of criminal. Oliver had to get his story straight if he wanted to get out of this situation, or else he would be in jail for the rest of his life. He was instantly confronted with the stone. He was asked where he got it from and who his accomplices were. Oliver was still in such shock that he could not even answer one single question. Then he was brought to a lineup. He was asked to identify his accomplices. The people in the lineup did not even seem to recognize Oliver and were surprised to see him here. Oliver asked the officers if this was some elaborate joke, but they weren't joking. He tells them he doesn't know anyone in the lineup. He calms himself down and tells the officers he is ready to tell the entire story of how he got this stone. The officers were very interested and agreed to take him back for interrogation. Oliver starts telling his side of the story. He found the stone on the beach while he was surfing. He stood on it and really hurt his feet. He even showed the scar on his feet. The officers agreed they would believe him and go to the beach to investigate. Oliver was brought to the beach with the officers to identify the place where he had found the stone. Oliver roughly pointed to where he had found the stone. A large group of officers instantly investigated further. Luckily for Oliver, he saw the lifeguard he had spoken to earlier. The lifeguard agreed to talk to the officers. He gave Oliver the alibi that he needed so that he did not obtain this stone illegally. Then the officers trusted Oliver again and started telling him what was going on with the stone. The stone or diamond was part of a massive diamond heist last week. Oliver could prove his innocence, and thanks to the traces on the beach and more people finding stones, this led to the real thieves. The thieves had hijacked a plane carrying a lot of diamonds. When jumping out of the plane, they lost some diamonds in the water. Oliver was fully compensated for all the damages.